around the world and across Nigeria. If you just joined us, this is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. We'll be starting off today with our newspapers just to let you in on everything that we have, and right after that, in a jiffy, is our main conversation for today. But please do well to be part of what you do. You can always find and reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. We have with us today in the studios Emeka Madunago, journalist, public affairs analyst, to see through all that we have. Good morning to you, Emeka.
Yeah, hello.
Thank you so very much.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Yes. All right, so let's start off today with the Vanguard newspaper. We have on the very top strip here, Dangote slashes petrol price by 65 naira to 825 naira per liter. And also just below that story, Tinubu's Muslim government has brought massive suffering, and that's coming from the Sharia Council of Nigeria. Scores fear dead as Boko Haram attacks a Damawa community. And on the bottom strip here we have Trump floats a $5 million gold card as route to U.S. Citizenship. U.S. citizenship for sale in the United States, and the $5 million is the price to get it. So I do not know how he does, or how he hopes to do this, and how he would distill the corrupt from non-corrupt leaders around the world and business people who, of course, would love to, launch on this opportunity. But Emeka, let's take a look at this other issue. My life in danger. NAFDAC DG cries out.
Well, the job of the DG of NAFDAC is, well, a dangerous one. Professor Moji Adeyeye, who is the DG, has acquitted herself creditably. She's in her second term, and she's done so well. She has, brought changes, using technology. She has done a lot of things, brought a lot of changes in the work of NAFDAC. So it's to be expected that, of course, people who do not want to play by the rules, people who want to circumvent the rules, will see her as an obstacle. Given the population of Nigeria, there is nothing you produce here, because I'm also, I'm a small-scale industrialist and a farmer. There is nothing you produce here that you'll not get a market for. Nothing. So what it means is that if we can get our acts right, like what Professor Adeyeye is doing, rightly in NAFDAC, if we can get our acts right, what it means is that businesses can thrive.
Good businesses, yes, not illegal
businesses.
When
I say doing right, if we get our acts right,
okay, like
Professor Moji Adeyeye is doing rightly, she's getting certain things rightly with technology, and with her honest, dedication to duty. If we can, put things right, put square pegs in square holes, round pegs in round holes, businesses will thrive, and there's no good or bad business. What you have, government registers a business. Government regulates the activities of the business. So it is either the business is regulated or unregulated.
Okay.
So there's no morality in it. If you are, producing, for instance, packaged water, and you're not doing it the right way, it's unregulated. People outside may call it bad water, but it is unregulated water, unsafe for consumption. But if people have, if people choose to obey the laws, to follow the due process, to work with NAFDAC, NAFDAC, of course, doesn't want to kill businesses. I've interacted with them, in different ways, over a long period. And, there's this mistaken impression that NAFDAC wants to kill businesses. No, they don't want to kill business, because if anything goes wrong in any sector, the DG, she's a professor. She has a name to protect. And she's not a corrupt person, to all intents and purposes. So she wants to protect her name. She wants to protect, her pedigree. She still has a future after, 10 years at NAFDAC. So, by, the way she has comported herself, of course, she has a long way to go.
Now, she has a long way to go. She wants to protect her identity and, of course, her pedigree and all. But we understand that human beings are very complex makeup. When you intend to have people work in accordance to set down rules and regulations, right before there, you see them going against it. And because there are proliferations of such kind of people all over the place, you can't really, keep, head on to understand where they are. Now, with what she is saying now, her life is in danger. Is it because NAFDAC has not done the job they are supposed to do, or that they have gone overshot their rules of engagement? Yes, their rules of engagement.
The people who gave her the job knew she was capable of doing the job, so they should protect her. They should protect her. I mean, there have been antecedents now. Dora Akunyili, former DG of NAFDAC, was attacked. Now there was an attempt on her life. She was saved by a whisker, by her head tie.
Yeah, headgear.
By her headgear. And then you look at someone like Brigadier General Buba Marwa, the chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. He can't come out and say his life is in danger because he knows that he has taken one of the riskiest jobs in the world. So, and definitely the system that put him there, the government that put him there, it is up to them to provide adequate security for him, and also to employees of the agency. Because if the DG's life is in danger, how about the NAFDAC workers who go out there, who go on inspection, those who are in intelligence, those who engage in interdiction, blocking people who want to circumvent the rules, and all of that. So adequate protection should be given to the DG and all staff members of NAFDAC.
But do you think that is necessary if the organization does what it ought to do?
They are doing what they ought to do. Yeah, I can say that.
Yes, they are doing what they ought to do. But of course, let's not hold brief for them. We have, cases where some bad eggs in the organization.
I don't work for them.
Yes, I understand. Yes, but of course, we've seen it. At those in the media, we read some of these things. We've seen bad eggs in the system. Who have gone above board to do things that ought not to, see in the society coming from a NAFDAC. Now, with such situation, don't you think those could be reasons why her life is possibly in danger?
No.
Because what goes for one person should go for another. If someone who works for the agency wants to help someone to circumvent a situation and does not help the other person, the person who is still looking for help without seeing those help might love to scatter everything.
No. Let me tell you the truth. NAFDAC is an agency that I interact with from time to time. There is no perfect system. Every system in the world, all over the world, in every system, you will find people who are law-abiding. Then you will find bad eggs. You will find corrupt elements. It's there. There's nowhere you won't find, such a categories. But the thing is this, like the Chinese say, the fish gets rotten from the head. If the head of the agency is corrupt, you will expect that it will percolate, it will go down, it will cascade. If the head of the agency is forthright and hardworking, of course, you will see it's going to reflect in the attitude, in the conduct of NAFDAC. No, now, that is not to say that you have employed angels in NAFDAC. There will be people who, NAFDAC employees will come across situations where they are offered bribes. However, EFCC agents. Didn't we hear of the one who ran away with thousands of dollars and exhibits? Was it in Lagos? Then another one in Kaduna. All of these things happen here and there. Don't we have rogue policemen, who collect bribes at checkpoints, who, who twist cases, and interfere in cases, who even transfer cases that the IG had to warn some time back that, policemen should stop transferring cases without due authorization. So there are all these things happening here and there, But the point is that I know that Professor Adeye has really done her best to make sure that unregulated, unsafe, products for consumption, drugs and all of that, medications and all of that, are not, as much as possible, are not allowed into the market, And so, of course, last year the federal government licensed some pharmaceutical companies, I don't know, I hope they've started production and all of that. So when we talk about importation of, drugs and all of fake medications and all that, it's because of the low capacity, of our economy, due to power supply, high cost of inputs. We have to still import a lot of these things. If not, at this stage, we should be doing a lot of local manufacturing of drugs, even though it's been done, but I hope that the government will see this as an opportunity, a golden opportunity, to actually ramp up local production of a lot of these things.
So what you're saying is the predominance of fake drugs in Nigeria as a result of importation. Is that what you're saying?
Of course, you see, that is one side. Majorly importation. Then there are those who produce these things locally. Fake drugs locally. But all in all, that Professor Mojade will come out to say her life is in danger shows that, definitely she's doing a good job.
Do you think NAFDAC is carrying so much responsibility? Do you think it's time for us to maybe get to shift the responsibility and allow food be on one side and medicines be on
I agree with that, absolutely. I've said it in public forum, I've said it in many places that NAFDAC, the scope of NAFDAC is too wide. NAFDAC covers everything that has to do with beverages, and water. Because in consumption of all those, products, is you have water. Then anything that's not water is a beverage. And look at the long line of beverages.
Yeah.
Then you talk about drugs. You talk about the other things. And I think NAFDAC, I think it's so wide. Maybe a separate agency, should be created to monitor either food, or drugs. Because drugs now, I'm talking about medication, it's a big business now, globally. And given the fact that, our population is growing, more and more of our people will need medications, So what it means is that we should gradually build up our technical capacity to produce a lot of these things locally. And so if we have more, genuine producers, local producers doing these things, it will be it. Then if also the people, Nigerians, see something, say something, if they can actually help, to expose people who are into all this packaging of all these things, expose them, and then let the courts also help, because the judiciary should also be part of this process. She has said that, Professor Adeye has said that there should be death penalty for people who fake drugs, but of course, globally, the world is trying to move away from the death penalty. So even if it's life imprisonment, there should be tough sanctions for people who get. Look, if you remember some years ago, the My Pikin saga, I mean, the teething powder, My Pikin saga somewhere in Lagos, just some carelessness within the system, of the system of procurement, and everything, all hell was let loose. So what we need is technical capacity, and then again, adherence to quality control. There shouldn't be, you don't cut corners. You shouldn't cut corners in any way. If you're not ready to get into it, because it's a delicate business. It's so delicate that if NAFDAC comes into your factory and sees something as small as a thread on the floor of your factory, the factory can be shut down. Your license can be suspended. So everything, your process must be thorough, must be spick and span. So that, because it's the health of Nigerians that is involved. So I believe that I would just encourage them to continue to do well.
Yes, and of course,
and the federal government should give them national encouragement, because if you remember, was it sometime last year, they went on strike. They've been going on, periodic strike because of conditions of service. I think people like people working in a place like NAFDAC should be placed on the same level like those working in Central Bank, in Federal Inland Revenue Service. You know, they should be paid well because the temptations they are exposed to, it's not an easy thing. So that they can work, you know, put in so much dedication. And of course, it will be to our benefit.
Very true. And equally talking about multiplicity of taxation and rate that people who manufacture food and beverages and also medicines is equally very so important, because if we have a central source of payment to some of these things, I don't think people will love to circumvent the system, because when they know they've paid to a reputable system, they are sure that that money has gone to
no, there's a system. Remitter is there to pay, but a lot of this corruption comes in, government tax comes in from agents of states and local governments.
All right, but let's take a look at other issues coming from the Guardian newspaper. Second term, Hamid Rowe, APC NEC passes vote of confidence in Tinubu and Ganduje. Emeka, speak to us on this, especially knowing that major stakeholders like El Rufai, Amechi, Muhammad Buhari, the former president, were not seen.
Even
Simbajo, himself they were absent at the NEC meeting. Do we see a gradual breaking up of the APC?
You know, when I tell people, when you see the media writing that opposition parties are breaking up, that we're heading towards one party rule, I said the problem with us is this love for sensationalism. I said it's APC together. Mention one state in Nigeria where APC is together. Just mention one. PDP is also having problems because of its internal contradictions. As a result of the lack of, I mean, some of his members are not faithful to the ideals of the party. They just see the party as a bargaining chip, to feather their own nest. You see the Labour Party, you see the NNPP, the NNPP, their only senator, some people are talking about suspending him. How do you do something like that? Just less than 2 years to the next elections. You are talking about suspending your only senator. Why? The APC is also afflicted by the things it's also inflicting on other parties, pushing people to defect to the APC. And some of these people have no consequence to it. Some of these people are just paperweight, they're just lightweight. Some of these people are just recalcitrant fellows. They cannot respect party hierarchy. They cannot adhere to party rules. They are there as moles of the ruling party. And so, what do you expect? Within the ruling party, there is, discontentment. And of course, Nasir El-Rufai, the former governor of Kaduna, I've been saying it so clearly. And it's there for all to see. Let Tinubu call the meeting of his economic management team today. And you will see where those people will come from. A preponderance of his own kinsmen. Is that how to run a nation? More people are going to, turn their backs on APC.
And of course, Tinubu during the NEC meeting is still, on the faces of the governors had reinstated that more FAC allocation is been given to governors. The states that were formerly receiving about 40 billion now get upward of 120 billion. So don't you think that the stick and the carrot again?
Did they come from his pocket? You see, that Tinubu is sad. Tinubu doesn't get it. It's so sad that the president of a country will just miss the real picture. And what is the real picture? You don't find any serious country in the world that stops something like subsidy, something fundamental as subsidy, and takes the money and begins to give governors. Go and buy rice and give people. Go and buy maize and give people. Buy fertilizer. No! You are missing the point. The point is this: take that money and say, okay, fine. The section 163, of the 1999 Constitution as amended says that all monies earned by the Federal Republic of Nigeria will be paid into the Federation account and shared to the federal, state, and local governments. We agree, but sit down with these people and say, listen, we are going to pump money, the excess earnings, from subsidy removal, we're going to pump them into productive ventures. GlaxoSmithKline, that wanted to leave the country, you could have called them. You are employing thousands of workers. If you throw these people out into the labor market, excuse me, where will they go to? That, okay, can we work out a deal? Jakonde did it as governor of Lagos State now. Alhaji Lateef Jakonde. He invested Lagos money in some companies at that time so that they could employ Lagosians as their workers, and so that at least create employment and create business. So instead of saying that, the allocations are, that is not anything. Okay, you put this, for instance, you put the money into agriculture. You offtake products from the farms. So what it means is that you will ensure that there's adequate security for farmers. You will ensure that, farmers can get value for their input. You will ensure that, for instance, tractors are available.
Yeah, but that can only be done through state governors. He can't just call farmers from wherever to come and get such grants. It has to. There's a process. There's a route that has to be.
Did he give? Oh,
and
good.
That is the
you mentioned one word, grant. Has he given farmers grant? I'm a farmer. I've not heard of any grant. Has he given any grant? Has he asked the states to give grants to farmers?
But it is it is not the place of the president to tell the governors what they can do with the funds.
Very good. So why is he now advertising to us that allocations have increased? Poverty has increased. In fact, if allocations have increased by whatever percentage, poverty has quadrupled. So you should find out what is the cause. Why is there still poverty despite increased allocations? Let me tell you, governors are helping themselves to these increased allocations. Yes. Governors prioritizing the building of government houses. Is that what should be a priority? Building government house in this time? That shouldn't be a priority, but that's what governors are doing. Governors prioritizing pilgrimages, sponsoring the elite, the overfed, over-subsidized elite, sponsoring them on pilgrimages, Christian and Muslim pilgrimages, and other such things. Is that what you're talking about? Look at the governor of Ebonyi State, 500 million for pilgrimage. 10 years ago, or maybe 20 years ago, or when Ebonyi State was created, was it getting 500 million allocation? But today, there is enough to waste. And that is the problem. But you as a president, you are primus inter pares, first among equals. Because all the states are subnationals. You should now talk about, setting up, for instance, a stimulus plan to say, okay, we're going to pump money into the economy to help businesses, to help small businesses, to help big businesses, to bring as much production as possible to Nigeria. You can see what Donald Trump is doing now in the United States of America, saying that, okay, if you produce locally, there will be no tariffs. But if you have to bring from abroad, there will be tariffs. So I have said it at public forum that we should have a make in Nigeria policy. India at the time had a made in India policy. I believe they still have it now. Interestingly, under this same Prime Minister Narendra Modi, whereby he said people come to India, produce these things, and put the label made in India. But I now went further. I said we should have a make in Nigeria policy, encouraging people that if you produce things in Nigeria with label of made in Nigeria, that these are the incentives you will get. That there will be no tariffs. We'll scrap tariffs on export for you. If you do that, you don't need to be traveling from country to country saying you are looking for foreign investors. It's the kind of thing that investors want to hear. Saudi Arabia put over $500 billion into the United States. You say Saudi Arabia was giving us Dabino, giving us dates. How low? One problem we have in this country is low self-esteem. People don't even know the kinds of things to say no to. You think people dashing you food they are reducing your worth. Let them show you how to cultivate food. Let them show you how to work, how to use your hands to work, how to use your brain to work, how to work with your body and earn, a living. And that is what Tinubu is failing to get. Sadly, that allocations have increased. No, it's not about allocation. What he needs to say is that productivity has increased. Donald Trump has said the United States has 36 trillion in debt. Okay, he's selling green card, right, at $5 million per one. If Donald Trump can get, he said, maybe 1 million people, buying that, that should be about 50 trillion. What's the US debt? 36 trillion. It will pay off his debt and still have change. 14 trillion change that he can do a lot with. So what are we talking about? Those are the kinds of innovative policies that a leader should be thinking about. Not that allocations have increased. The problem with this country, major problem, is this feeding bottle federalism. Allocations, allocate any problem. Okay, give them rice. Any problem, give them cassava. Any problem, give them beans. That will not solve any. It will not make the nation move forward.
Yeah, it might not make the nation move
forward. It will not.
But to President Bola Tinubu, that could equally be a solution for him. It's an interest, because if he does that, the loyalty from governors is there. 2027 is just by the corner.
Let me tell you something. There's no loyalty from anywhere. People will only be loyal to you as long as their pockets are being, stuffed. Which is their stomachs.
Which is what he's
doing. But let me tell you something.
Yes.
What kind of loyalty is that? Loyalty that is procured. Loyalty should be based on performance. It should be very driven. You don't need to bribe your way to loyalty. You don't need to keep quiet and see that governors are looting the resources of their states, and then you say you are. But what loyalty are you buying? What kind of stained crown are you wearing? What we need is this. We need production. We need for the economy to produce more. We need to have regular power supply. We need security. We need for the governors to organize vigilantes, working with the security agencies to flush out criminal elements, kidnappers and the rest of them. We need more investment in the real sector of the economy. But you know what's happening now? Many people who are benefiting from this loyalty you talk about are pumping money into the stock exchange, into the capital market and the money market, right? Mm-hmm. And government says, yeah, it's doing very well. But look at the losses being recorded by the big names, on the capital market. Why are they recording those losses? You will see, if care is not taken, there might be a bubble. So what we need is to get the economy, the real sector of the economy, working. Universities are churning out graduates every year. What is their future? Where are they going to find work? For those who can japa, what about those who can't japa? Where will they find work? Who is going to employ them? If there are factories, if there are farms, if there are businesses, ICT and the rest of them, there will be jobs for them. But you see, once you talk about NNPCs employing, you see millions. You talk about the central banks employing, you see millions. How many people can any government establishment take? But you know what? One industry, one industrial concern can employ as many as 50,000 to 100,000 people. After all, the textile sector was employing over 5 million Nigerians at the time. Textile factories across Lagos, Kaduna, and the rest of them.
Kano.
They're employing over 5 million Nigerians. Why can't we find a means of bringing that back? If it is the textiles, we get thousands of Nigerians employed. If it is like we've talked about drugs, the drug sector, local manufacturing of drugs, we get that. Can I tell you something? There was a time machines for producing the rolls, for sachet water were being imported from Germany and other places. But you know what? Some people just had a light bulb moment and said, wait a minute. They were not able to fabricate those machines locally. Now, interestingly, we have a company that took part of the Port Harcourt refinery, the petrochemical side, an Indian company. And they've been producing locally, they've been producing the input for those rolls. So people go to Port Harcourt, they buy. There are people produce who buy who buy the chemicals, use them for make them into rolls, and then the people who are into the printing, of rolls, they now take them and use locally made machines to print the names of these products on them. So that way you are saving foreign exchange. You are keeping jobs in Nigeria. But the interesting thing, those roles were among the 44 items banned under President Muhammadu Buhari by then CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele. Tinubu came in. Yemi Cardoso, CBN Governor, lifted the ban on those items. For what? And possibly some people might be collecting foreign exchange to say they're importing, those roles. Why are we doing this to ourselves?
Well, we can go on and on. You know, the issue with our country, Nigeria, is very so complex, and but of course, we'll try our very best to keep unraveling some of them, so we can better give it to you in a manner and a form that you will certainly understand. Well, this is just about the time for this particular segment. Emeka will be here to take us on our main conversation when we return. Former Accountant General of the Federation seeks an out-of-court settlement over his 1.96 billion naira fraud case. That in a bit. It's still Enterprise Morning. Please don't go anywhere.